Pledge and our moment of silence at the first meeting. We'll go right down to roll call.
Commissioner O'Rourke,
Present.
Commissioner Rexroth,
Present.
Chairman Wessel,
Here.
Commissioner Ross,
Here.
Commissioner Allgaier,
Here.
Commissioner Lautner,
Present.
all present.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have an proposed agenda, and Richard Lewis and I talked, and we think we can get through this current agenda by about 3:30 or so. Anybody want to make some additions or deletions? Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. Public comment.
I'll just go under public comment.
Mr. Gallagher.
Well, I had you under number one action item, but you can do it. Because you're bigger than I. John Gallagher, just wanted to follow up from last meeting. There was a question on how much was transferred from non-liquid funds to liquid funds for 2024. And between April and July of 2024, we transferred 1.5 from non-liquid to liquid into the common account for us to operate. And that is just a preface, as looking at fund balance forward and cash flow and the budget for that. So I just wanted to bring that up as a follow-up.
And what was the date?
It was between April and July of this year.
Okay.
1.5, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you'll have to excuse me, I have a 2 o'clock conference call now. If you have questions.
And that is general funds?
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John. Any other public comment? We now have commissioner comment.
Can I ask a quick question?
Commissioner comment.
So it was transferred in to make it till tax time. Did we transfer it back? Did we move it back?
I did see it transfer back. We can talk to John when he comes back, because then he'll reinvest that.
So it was a loan.
So it goes back,
Money, but it subsidizes our cash flow. We
Right.
need to have that for cash flow to get to the next election.
Right.
so it goes back in non-liquid, right?
Yeah, 'cause he
Okay.
invests your money. Somebody's cell phone is really close to your microphone, and it puts feedback out here, so it's hard.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, any other commissioner comment? We are now down in agenda item number 1. Mr. Lewis?
We took care of the one question, the other one, there was one holdover from last week, and it dealt with the salary adjustment for the senior center director. We will bring that back to you next week. It's Kathy and I just haven't had time to talk, so.
Okay.
There's no other follow-ups I have for that. We're ready to go through the review of the special funds, and the first one we have is the senior citizens.
And our senior service director is here. Thank you.
Hello. Good.
The fund we're talking about right now, senior services, it's under your special funds tab in your budget book, and it's actually page 32 of 79.
Okay. It's in special funds.
Just a reminder, this is a work session and will be pretty informal. If the floor is open, please ask your question. Good.
Okay.
No,
Lena and Richard and I had a meeting last week, and just, help Lena with the process. So last year when she joined us, it was in midsummer, and the former director had already presented a budget. So she inherited this process, so this is her first time through. So we kind of just talked a bit about the direction of the department, the revenue stream coming in, and I think that in that conversation, there's always a learning curve, and we realized that the revenue for senior services is about 1.2 million. And the proposed budget was 1.5. And we came to the realization that it was, and we thought maybe might have all been revenue, where it's fund balance forward that balances that. So we talked about the fact that cash flow, which we're talking about in the general fund, is extremely important, especially in a fund. Because the general fund isn't going to subsidize senior services. I mean, it could, but it's very unprecedented. If they didn't have enough cash flow, that fund balance to get to their next collection. Senior services is a winter collection. So in talking about that, Lena did some cost projections for this year and realized the things that we don't see, but she feels impactful in her office, is the fact that she's going to come in under budget this year. And it has a lot to do with attrition, death, people moving, people coming into the county or turning 60. We don't know if they are going to qualify. There's variables that aren't taken into account. But sadly, Lena has lost quite a few clients this year. She's going to come in under budget. So I believe that the budget you will see for the proposed will be less than this.
Nice.
Well, not nice. I mean,
Well, it'll help her fund balance.
no, but I mean the deaths, the reason why.
Yeah.
So, do you have questions?
So you're saying the expense total as I'm looking at in this document is going to be revised? Do you have any idea of the magnitude of that revision at all, or?
I think that Lena has worked out 1.3 million.
Okay.
And you can maintain all services with that?
But to back up, you said that, you had set the 2024 budget at 1.5 million revenues?
I think she inherited that budget from the previous director.
Okay.
And
So-
she'll underspend that.
What is the full fund balance? How much is it?
Right now, her fund balance is at just under 800,000. She's got a couple months to go until she starts getting revenue again.
Does this fully fund all of the need-based programs?
Excuse me?
All of the need-based?
Yeah, it's hard to, when we talk about needs, it's those who qualify, because we are
Right.
serving the most vulnerable, low-income seniors for our in-home services and our financial programs. So the difference this year and where I'm projected to end at the end of the year we've met everybody's needs. We're not using the full budgeted amount for that. So again, that's hard to anticipate, so that's why we always aim high on those in-home services and financial needs categories. So there's room to grow. Halfway through next year, I can't anticipate where we're going to be. We're about 20% under in a few, since I did the budget in June for July, we're 20% less in personal care and medication management. That's quite significant.
Have you seen that in past, another director, have they seen that kind of drop before, or is that?
I didn't really do the percentages. We are serving many more seniors, but they're in a different capacity right now. So it's for those, for the in-home services where there's application and income and asset testing for that. That's where we're seeing the decline because of, one, people can't afford to be here, as we all know. We've lost a few residents or seniors out of Leelanau County due to housing, and then also deaths.
Because you're doing the same advertising, promotion of these
Yeah.
services, right?
Yep.
Do we need to do more of it? Are we missing people, do you think, or?
I don't think we're missing people. I think honestly, we're hitting people earlier in their aging process for education base and all that. So I think that we're in this, I don't know if it's calm before the storm, or as people are aging, we've seen those numbers. They're coming, But to anticipate when that's gonna hit exactly is hard to determine.
It's those variables that we can't predict. And recall that you are asking senior services to take on the talking book. So we'll put that in the amended proposed.
There was another program that came, excuse me, sorry, Melissa.
Go ahead.
There was another program that came to the table after I submitted the budget, and that's with Catholic Human Services for the Senior Companion Program. This was a contract that LCSS had years ago, I think in maybe 2014, 15. And that is an opportunity for low-income seniors to be a part of that program, to give back to their community. And right now, Senior Companion Program, they have 2 seniors in the county that can serve between 10 and 20 hours per week. It is on a reimbursement rate, so they have approached me for $8,000 contract if it can fit into the budget. And I think that's going to help our most vulnerable seniors for shopping opportunities, like I expressed at the annual report for grocery shopping, get them out and start fulfilling that need that we have heard over and over and over again. Not only the grocery shopping, but to get out to community events, our wellness programs, other opportunities that they can provide through that senior companion program.
So during this time, I sure wouldn't want to see any downgrade in your funding, because you're kind of you don't know exactly what's going to happen, and we need to find out. But this is also an opportunity to perhaps expand services. I know the Share Care director had lots of ideas about services for people a little bit more ambulatory. Maybe walking groups or something, just an opportunity to expand services to perhaps to serve more of our seniors.
We've captured that so far in 2024, not as far as the walking groups, but as far as education in regards to awareness, education in regards to aging in place and what it takes, looking at planning for your future, long-term care, powers of attorneys and everything like that. So we're starting this education program through the wellness program to help people prepare for that next step where you have to put those resources and everything you learned into action to stay in your home as long as possible.
But let's keep our eyes open and our minds open to perhaps expanding your programs.
I don't
To
know.
invite in more people.
Sure.
I think we need to take a look at that.
We might see Share Care do that on their own. We have a large contract with them, so some of the millage dollars does go to their programming. So I think that we need to keep our eyes and ears open, like you said, to see what the need is and fulfill those needs so we can continue keeping up with that pace.
So where did you think your 2024 spend is going to end up at, final spend? Is that pretty close to that 1.3 as well, or?
I don't know if I have a total. I think I was projected to spend the 1.5, and I'm thinking it's going to be about $340,000 less.
Okay.
And that is with the projections where we're going right now through the end of the year for larger budgeted items like our in-home services.
That would put it pretty close to a few percent above 2023. And I guess the reason I asked the question, I'm not against adding services, but if I look at 2021 to 2022, we have a 25% increase in spend. 2022 to 2023, another 20% increase in spend.
And we
Yep.
talked about that, because those were also COVID years.
Okay.
And that showed what happened, kind of stalled a little bit, because of in-home services couldn't happen the way they had been. So we did take into account, perhaps that's a COVID effect.
So what you're saying is that 2021 was lower than it would have been because of the COVID effect. So the increases are not as dramatic. Okay.
When I look at the budget, when we started the year, what was presented to you last year, you thought maybe at that point that we would be using, I think I read it right, about $361,400 in fund balance. But pretty
Yeah.
much, you're
Yeah.
gonna be pretty close if you do go down, you may end up spending only $20,000 in fund balance, or using. But, we won't know if that happened or not, because we don't have it ready right now. And this has been a full year.
And the end of 21.
I read that correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
the end of 21 on page 35. The expenses were under revenue and built fund balance by about 150,000. 22 expenditures were more than revenue and it dipped into fund balance by 3,900. And then 23, expenses were more than revenue by 160,000. So, that being said, to balance 24, it looks like she'd have to use 300-some thousand, but she's going to come in under budget, she believes, projecting with the numbers she's got. So it could be just she spent her revenue this year without dipping into her fund balance. But again, we need the fund balance in April
Yep.
while she waits for her revenue.
Mhm.
Because it's a cash flow issue.
Yep.
And as to the, what Nina's office does with regard to the newsletter, I know that lists every household in the county that has an individual 60 years of age or older gets that newsletter, right? So people go off the list, but people come on. Anybody who turns 60, you get an updated list. So it is a very effective marketing tool. The households for HIP is bigger than the subscription of the Wilma Enterprise.
And more accurate.
Whoa.
Just saying. So you've got, like, your personal care, year-to-date, you're at 35,300. But yet, you're looking at 120, so.
That was just what was budgeted. I'm looking at coming in at the end of the year, I don't know.
Well, if you were year-to-date in your 7th month, though, at the end of July, it was only 35,000.
Mhm.
So even if you doubled that in the next 5 months.
Yeah, I did run the year-to-date for Lena. Right now through this week, she's at 46,000. And she's projected with the clientele she's got that by the end of the year, she's spent about 55,000.
Okay.
So there's 100 right there.
But you'll be looking for 120, so that's, you just.
Like Kathy said, we're gonna be doing some adjustments.
Okay. So that same with like respite care?
Correct.
If you were only at 50,000 end of July and it's 175.
Correct, and in your budget narrative, I talked about expanding that respite program to levels 8 and 9. And following our current asset income testing. because we've seen the need, we've heard the need, trying to fulfill the need of our caregivers out in the county. I don't know how many are out there. I don't know who will qualify. I don't have numbers to project. I don't know what page that is.
Yeah, let me,
Yeah. Can you give us those criteria, 8 and 9, what those are?
Yeah.
Sure, page 203 in your narrative.
So a two-person household, that would be 250 to 350% of the poverty line. That's between 51,000 and 71,000 per year for two in household.
If you're looking
What
for
page?
income and asset testing
203.
schedules are on page 209, 210, and 211. That's all three for looking at the
Eight and 9 there?
Any idea how
So
many of
those-
our homes in the county fit that criteria?
I don't,
We're just reading about 105 seniors right now for income and asset testing. So, 35.
I tell you what, at my age, when I see friends, I'd say 50 to 60% of the time, they relate that their partner now has an old age issue. I mean, there are so many people in need of respite and help. And it's my age group, we're there.
That's what my wife says.
It's incredible, though. I mean, it's scary, it's sad.
well, we've got to remember exactly what our senior millage intended to do. So I guess it's a question of, do we want, should it be expanded to levels 8 and 9? Or is there a formula that would be used, like for that, or?
so it'd be the same formula that we use for every other level. It's following the poverty guidelines that are put out. And they submit all the paperwork for the income and asset testing. They still have to meet the criteria of under 100,000 in assets, and that's what's been in place for years.
In assets, does that include their house?
No, not including a home or a car. So we're looking at like IRS, cash assets, bank accounts.
Second homes, cottages.
That excludes just about everybody.
I think it's not, without saying, Leelanau County is becoming more of a destination for the affluent.
Yeah.
We've seen the need this summer. We had the Dementia Caregiver Series, and we had a lot of caregivers come in for that. There was about 15 to 18 participants between the two programming. Seeing the needs, seeing the burnout, that's kind of what stems expanding to see who we can capture.
Sorry, Jim. Well, I mean, I'm sure at some point, we could expand it to just about every level in the county, I mean, there's need everywhere and at every level, we just can't afford to do that, it's pure and simple. Especially with our increase in our ages in our county. I mean, we're not only increasingly affluent, we're increasingly older.
And if we were to not increase the respite program, maybe that's where the senior companion program can come into play and help other folks who need respite.
Something to look at, yeah, because that gets them the same, yeah. Okay,
Go ahead. You weren't done, right?
Well, I just was going to ask whether that, is that same philosophy track for your medication management, homemaking, Meals on Wheels is pretty much set per contract, okay. So, your medication, or medical transportation, so those are all kind of high, looking at trends.
So our transportation is quite significantly lower than the previous year, in regards to where we're at year to date. As it is today, we stand about 42% of that $20,000 budget. So we've spent about $8,500 in regards to transportation. That's a lot less than last year.
Yeah.
I think we were pretty high. We have utilized share care a lot more, instead of comfort keepers, which helps because that transportation piece is, we have the breakdown, but that goes through the share care contract. So what you see under the medical transportation is a contractual agreement with comfort keepers.
So is there a reason that respite care has to be income limited?
It's what was set in motion when I came on board. It's what I understand the board to have approved previously.
So we could change that.
It
You direct this department, so
is one of the more expensive ticket items though, so it exponentially can blow up the budget pretty fast.
Isn't Medicare poised to start picking this up? Wasn't that
Medicare or Medicaid?
Medicaid? Yeah.
Medicare does not provide respite.
It's an idea though out there, I think. No?
I have no control over Medicare.
No, I don't, but I think they're seeing that as a huge need going forward and they're trying. That's what I.
When you do get Medicare control, let me know, I've got questions.
You got it. So right now, for our respite program, when I did the budget, we were at 12 people. We're at 11 right now. So I think, and if you look, I don't want to look at it as funds just sitting there, but if there's more people we can reach. But we may hit it with the senior companion program too. We may be able to fulfill those needs, so.
I guess I'd have a little bit of issue providing a service no matter what your net worth or income was. I mean, that seems there has to be some sort of testing.
Yeah.
There has to be.
Yeah, and just say, no testing, I mean,
That's not taxpayer.
Yeah, but perhaps we could expand it a bit, so that's worth thinking about.
And it would only be respite. I'm not talking about homemaking, I'm not talking about personal care. We can include personal care with that respite as part of the respite program that Comfort Keepers provides.
so if you
On
were.
the other hand, it could be an increase in services in one of the other programs to people who are income eligible.
Correct.
They probably actually need the help the most.
So instead of 4 hours a week, we
Yeah.
could bump it to 6 hours a week for those who do qualify and on service right now.
That's
Income
a
qualified.
better idea.
Yeah, it is. Help the people who really need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 to 6 can't.
So we can look at that in the Seniors Services Committee.
Let's have a meeting.
Let me share one other thing about this particular department. Yeah, there are total of four individuals in this department, which is also, you may not realize, she manages 11 to 12 contracts. So I mean, here, these folks are out here doing services that we have asked to have done for your citizens. Someone's got to manage things. That's her. To make sure that people that we have out there are following the rules, doing what we need them to help us. And so, while there may not be a body assigned to it, understand managing contracts sometimes can be just as painful as managing people. So,
Don't most departments have lots of contracts? Don't most of our departments have department heads?
They do, but I'm just thinking about not all of them have as many. I don't know, I have, it's one of those little check marks I'm going through, as I thought, how many actual contracts do you have for damage on the road? So, but as you all mentioned, she's now also managing some of the most vulnerable people out in the county, so to see all that it does. Just let you know.
And she does a good job.
Any other questions on senior services budget?
So when you get your proposed budget, it'll be in a color paper, which is where to slide it in.
Okay.
And Leelanau just tweak these figures of her soul, so maybe you'll come in and so she maintains her cash flow.
Would you rather see the more hour, we'll bring that back to the table in the committee, but the senior companion program, should I include that in the revised
8,000, is that
budget?
it?
It's between 8,000, 8 to 10,000. I would go for 8. They have 2 volunteers and they provide 10 to 20 hours a week per volunteer. Could see 4 to 5 seniors in the county.
So it's not in there now.
It is not in there now, it came to the table after I submitted the budget.
Well, it sounds like you'll have the revenue for it.
Don't know.
It all depends how many seniors we're having participate in our in-home care program, honestly. Because that's where a big chunk of money comes from that is out of my control.
That's an unknown.
But the need is there, so
The
it's,
need is there, I think this might be a good stepping stone to see the need, put the need, or get the volunteers where those needs are and move in the right direction.
and a 1-year contract?
I haven't discussed that, because it's new. I think previously it was 2 years. Next month I will be in front of you again with 6 different contracts for renewal.
I'd say if it fits in your budget, include it.
They're all the renewals, though, the same one, you have
They're all-
flowers and the same ones we see. All the- yeah, correct.
What I would think out loud is I would go look at the 2-year, because that's how long your millage is gonna be in place. So
Okay.
do that. After 2 years, we have to see what happens after that. You will be back out again, looking for a renewal or an increase, whatever is on the table at that time.
I'm in favor of, having you put it in the, anything else?
Yeah, if you've got the room in your budget, I would put it in.
I'll work with Kathy on that.
Anything
I
else?
think we should look at, I would just put it in there, but I'd like to look at it. Look at the contract.
For the senior companion program, I don't have it with me right now.
Right. I just think we should see
I
it.
can try to,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Kathy,
do you have everything you need from us on that?
Sure, I do.
So,
Yeah, we'll just
renewal will be based on the renewal?
Are we having a holiday dinner again this year?
Oh,
Usually
I did
there is.
jot that,
Yeah, that's what
date
I
down too,
wasn't
December
covered.
18th at the Leelanau Lodge, our Christmas, program at noon.
You're having our county administrator dress up in a Santa suit like we always do?
Well, he's the entertainment, so he just doesn't know it yet.
Don't go across the walkway.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Elf suit, maybe.
That's what you're putting in. Don't say it. Let it go.
I didn't even think it,
I do.
Building
for a
safety?
really long time.
Just, we were going through these major ones, and Kathy and I thought, okay, let's get some of these big ones.
What is building?
Of course, as you know, the building safety fund, it's self-generating.
Where,
Page 57.
Oh, I'm sorry, 57 and 79.
of special
Different
funds?
items of revenues that, it all depends on how often people like drugs, come here and ask for a permit. So the item in here through, we just wanted to see if there's any questions, but Look at it, the plan is sufficiently healthy, very healthy shape. The only question is that we have had a discussion with, that I've had discussion with, is that under our inspectors, underneath there, we have the plumbing and mechanical, and it's two different things. And we may be bringing back to the next board an idea of seeking out someone that can do that work on a part-time basis. So that our plumbing and building inspector, we may want to increase those hours. When that individual's gone on vacation, we really don't have anyone to back that person up. So we may want to look at doing that. But of course, we'll bring it back, we'll look at the numbers and see how that works out. That's the only open concern that we have at this point, or that they have. And so we're not changing anything yet, but we're just saying that question mark we want to think about next year. Because that was the part that I think last year, there's a certain point we got a little bit behind, and we allowed the individual to take the vehicle home with them, so that instead of having to come all the way back here, he was going out like this and doing his route. We were able to catch up pretty quick. But it raised the question, what happens if he's on vacation? That's what gets you behind. There's nobody there to do the inspections. And as you well know, when the contractors call and say, we'd like to get you, you're waiting 2 weeks, doesn't help the workflow. So we want to see if that'll help. But that's the only other question mark we have at this point, at this moment.
So one thing I've seen done with that is working with another inspection authority, rather than putting out a full-time person. I mean, it can happen, but I've ran into that
That's what
before.
I'm saying, that
Yeah.
we may not have something like that.
Especially if you're just looking at like vacation times, rather than bring out an employee just a couple weeks here and there. A lot of times there's enough flex somewhere else.
Correct. So, that then it may be a contract, but we will have to show there's a contract or whatever.
It's gonna be money either way.
How do we, fill that void for small periods, very small periods of time? So, if the person's out one day because they're sick, we don't worry about that.
Just while I have another question, Kathy, and maybe I'm missing, they're part of the motor pool, right? I mean,
No, they own their own cars.
they're their own cars, okay.
They bought 2 Tacomas this year.
Okay.
We had a special meeting in the
That
spring.
explains why I can't find that line item, so, okay.
And senior services owns their own car as well.
Okay.
Or 2.
I think it's one.
Yeah, I think it's.
Kathy, I have a question that I was asked the other day, and I have absolutely no idea, but the typical house build, how much does a builder collect or pay for fees for all inspection fees? It's many, many, many thousands?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I haven't added up all mine. It's not 1,200. It's probably 3,500, 3,000, somewhere in there by the time you get plumbing, electrical, mechanical.
I would guess so.
That's not counting, I mean, I got to throw in land use, soil erosion.
Yeah.
I'd have,
Wells, septic tanks.
Yeah.
everything else that goes in.
health department, if you got a well, I mean, yeah. It's,
So we don't want to have any bigger department than we need.
Nope.
but they're not, I mean, but I tell you, they're not like out of whack with other places that I've seen. I mean, it's just,
I think this board just approved the permit fee schedule.
yeah, we did just a few months back.
That's a question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was construction, but it was
So soil erosion.
soil erosion. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this board does approve the fee schedule.
Every year, we do.
Michelle Cocker, please, how often does the building fee schedule building safety fee schedule get reviewed by the board?
Oh,
Usually
it's-
review it when they start running out of money or just too much money.
It's been a few
That's what
years.
generates it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
It hasn't been since I've been doing this for you.
You can also just review it for the sake of reviewing it to see what the different line items are generating in relationship. Because that brings up a broader question, not to get you off track, but it brings a broader question to all the fees that you charge in all of your departments that are non-statutory. Non-statutory fees, that is not
Right.
non-statutory departments, because you could look at all of them, because there are some things that probably haven't been adjusted in years, that maybe just due to inflation should increase a little bit.
You raise a good point in fairness, I mean, if plumbing permits are subsidizing, I'm not saying they are, I'm just picking one, I mean, and, you know, you're picking on someone who's doing a plumbing project more than you are someone who's doing a building project, because the revenue streams aren't maybe equal, so.
Well, it might be a good thing, just like a will or any of those type of documents, to at least review it maybe every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
I remember
I think we
reviewing
should.
that though.
Yeah,
When
the
she
question
set
is,
new fees.
in
The
these,
revenue is on page 57.
So was that like 3 years ago, maybe?
For me, I would say.
Longer.
If you guys don't remember it, I remember when we adjusted those fees.
Not as part of this board.
Yeah.
no, it's been.
No, so before you guys,
We
It's
put
been
it
a
on
while.
our list.
but I've only been here 4 years. So it was within 4 years.
You were lucky. Thank you.
The other thing is, though, when we look at them, we should be looking at, you know, what other counties, and if I remember right, you know, we were higher in some and lower in others, and I just prefer it that all possibly be, you know, at least equal or lower, if we can at all possible. What concerned me the most, and I haven't heard this in a while, was the re-inspection fees. But hopefully we've gotten that kind of straightened out, because that was getting, I might say, out of control there for a while. And it
Just
was-
remember with this department, I'm sorry, I came back in because I was out, that when you do look at your fund balance, a lot of times the fees that you collect in one year will cover the expenses for the next, but it's just the nature of when they apply for those fees versus when all the work gets done. And you may have already covered that, so I apologize.
And you go in the spring, goes right to.
Anything else on building safety?
The other one you want to get to is on, I'll get back to where that is.
You get to
Another big one. which is,
dispatch with it.
Dispatch and lunch services.
Page 9,
What page, Kathy?
9.
Of course, this is one that I know Kathy has shared with you, that this, all the transfers that will take place in next year, that is general fund. This is probably the, I would say, it's the largest amount, correct?
It is, and it's the first time it's ever gone over $1 million to balance this budget.
Wow.
So,
And they have no fund balance.
Okay.
Again, remind us why they went over. I mean, what's the big thing that happened?
well, this year, that, you know, if you look under on page 9, you go to operating transfer in, we're gonna have to take $1,041,810 out of the general fund to cover this operation. In other words, the other revenues for your communication towers, the wireless, they have no fund, they have very little, but they don't have any fund balance. But you can see, your revenue sources are very limited to cover the expenses of this department. Now, it's needed, this is where you are, short of going out and asking for a request, or, I don't remember what Grand Traverse County does. Do you remember, do they have a special 911 fee? I don't remember.
I don't
Anyway,
either.
We have a surcharge.
They have a surcharge, I believe.
On the
911 surcharge on your phone.
Yes.
That comes in here.
We have that
So
too.
where's,
But we split that to pay
that,
for.
is that the wireless?
Yeah.
Okay, that's only $150. $150,000.
$150,000.
And your tower revenue, you know, you've got your towers, but some of them sit on private land. We make payments to those holders for our tower to sit there. So the Tower Fund 585 has about $500,000, I believe, in revenue, but we have to send out money to the people that we're in agreement with. And we only get a portion of that. And this department is predominantly salaries, wages, benefits. There is building and grounds charges, et cetera, some maintenance fees, but it is pretty much people.
almost exactly a 4.5% increase year over year from 2021.
So, just kind of let you know, just so, you know, so that when you, it's on that one page that you saw in the very, on our very first section, of money that's gonna go on the general fund, to help supplement other funds.
Wow.
So what about it's a small amount we get from the fire departments for radios. Does that come into 911 or does that go into towers?
That goes into towers. I'll look at 585 real quick. We do go, grant to the band, a small contract. There's a little bit of revenue there for us. Maybe I don't have the correct fund number in my head. Michelle, Tower Fund, is that 585?
585, did you say?
That's what I thought, but I can't find page 5 on 585 in my book. I'll write that down. Investigating.
We've got dispatch 232, wireless 911 233, 911 training is 234.
485.
What's for?
There we go. Look at 485 for tower.
Oh, you know why we don't have it listed on our little sheet. Probably wanna. Communications fund 468,
Thanks.
page,
Try that one.
page 49.
Thanks.
Good job.
Glad I could be of assistance.
Too many funds running through my head. We're just talking about the, we fill out for radios to all the fire and rescues.
Yes.
Isn't that under the Fund 468?
That's where
Right.
I'm at
Yeah,
now.
page 49.
I just don't feel like that's where the revenue comes in for that.
John's here, he might be
Now,
happy.
do you know where you guys?
It's
bill
way
the fire
down
rescues
compared
for
to
the use for radios, what
24.
fund that revenue comes back into? Okay.
It was set up on a 10-year plan, I believe.
And that was the next question. It hasn't been 10 years, has it?
I remember Commissioner Rushton was still on the board.
This does say contributions from local units of $100,000. Is that that?
Could be, John went to check.
Yeah, he's gonna check, because his office, I think, is the one that reconciles that billing.
While we're looking for that, I just, looking at the retirement line item, up 50%
Oh, there
from
is
the
local radios. It's
previous
under
year and up 100% since
Yeah, okay.
2021.
48.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I found it. It's on page 48, I
Yes,
think.
when we phase in, our MERS retirement, certain groups to phase those in are higher percentage. There's tenure over there with the current employee base over there, and their MERS credit is 48 cents right now for that group. It's a
31.
closed group.
It changed that much from the previous year.
Boy, that's down, 69,000. Wow.
While we're waiting for that to come back, just two very quick updates as it relates to powers. Last week, as you approved the agreement with Leelanau Township, that agreement has been executed by both parties, county and the township. So that's
Good.
complete. Also, the resubmittal of our special land use permit was completed on Thursday. We just sent that out. The Leelanau Township planner picked up his hard copy on Friday. So just wait and see where it goes next. So again, I give thanks to two folks. One is Lauren, who did a yeoman's job. In fact, I was even afraid to talk to her on Thursday. She was trying to put it all together. And I wouldn't even talk to her. I was afraid she'd yell at me. So I just left her alone. She got it done and got it out. The second one is to Professor KP, who helped us to walk through that process to get it done and get the right things and get it looked at, a couple of their memos put in, so that we get everything in planning, language so that we can move forward. So thank you for your support and let us utilize that service from them, and I think it helped us to get the right product. So it's now back in their hands, and we'll see where it goes. You just gotta wait, it's back into the planning commission's hands. That's where you gotta wait for them to implement it. So hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later. We'll see. It's just, okay, now I don't have to write the memo, so
And the local radio, or the radio units fee for the fire departments around the county, the revenue comes into 457, the communications project, which is on page 48. And that's a revenue there. Then we transfer out money to contractual services, but we also transfer out to the radio comm project, which is 233. And that's where we receive in the 911 surcharge. So money comes in, money gets dispersed out. Some of it goes to pay for the radios, some of it goes to pay for 911. I think I have that, your transfer funds sheet in the front of your book. Maybe I didn't have my copy, it's just like that's great. That'll help you know what comes in and what goes out.
It would have been in your binder on the left-hand side, probably.
Yeah, in the pocket.
In the
You think
pocket
it's,
there,
you
right in
think
the
we're
front.
still that organized to have those still in that left
I
hand
am.
side?
I got it right here.
Here it is.
And I think Kevin and I were talking, and we're going to use,
No, Shel said I got it.
knowledge of the work. Did we have a millage?
Got it.
911 at one point in the
I know we went to the ballot many years ago, and that's when Bob Hawley was chairman, so that's taken me back a long ways.
And it failed.
Yes, I
It
did.
failed at the ballot box.
Okay.
Mhm.
I just
Okay.
know the history.
Yeah. So then we chose to fund a general fund, tower communications, the phone fee. Those three things? Yeah.
Yeah, transferring from the wireless, transferring from communication tower fund and the general fund. And then a small contract for CAD services we're putting out.
Yeah.
We should recommend.
Well, all I'm doing is putting it down there, saying someday down the road, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that particular transfer is not gonna go away and not gonna go down. So somebody someday, they want to look at something different, so that you're not using one of the general fund thing you want to do. So I have no idea when that number will happen.
Don't even put the bug in their ear, please.
Well, that's up to the public to decide.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But the general fund never goes down. Boards tend to have a way of just absorbing all that funds and spending it in another way. We saw that happen with senior services. We used to fund senior services out of general fund.
Sure, but, you know, you can
And we
always do
did
some-
we did absolutely perfectly fine. So, but when the millage went out, the general fund didn't go down by 400,000. It stayed the same, and it was a
You have other
windfall.
needs- You have other needs that need to be met also. So that's where it comes down to, that everybody has to ask.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that there's right or wrong, it's just.
Yes.
So
Shel.
for the new commissioners, because I can see Commissioner Ross looking this way, and I don't know if it's just absorbing it all. So it was, I think it was 1969, when the millage rate was set out there at 6.2 mils, and it incorporated a few things. I still got a picture of the ballot. And so in order to do what Richard's talking about and Melinda's talking a little bit more against, would be heavily override, which has to go to the vote of the people. So it's taken from about 1969 or 1970 to slowly rolling it back. Some years it stays flat to get where you are, which is still at 3 point some, which is still pretty good. Because we had talked about this several years ago, but it was just not understanding how the numbers all go. But that's pretty good to have that long of a
Because
You know, it's 50-some years.
50 years.
it's our SCVs, because even though we've
Correct.
had the Headley rollback, we still are bringing in mooring revenues every year because of our SCVs.
Yeah, your
But- but-
taxables are.
Taxables.
But, yeah,
Our
the new,
yes, our taxables.
the new purchases and everything.
Yeah, and
Uncapped.
uncappings.
Uncapped is a big deal.
I understand, I'm not recommending it, that's
Oh, I understand.
for future questions, you know.
I understand.
Traverse City went through the
You're there
process
for.
of uncapping a year ago, so they could provide ambulance service. And
Wow.
whether it should happen or not happen, but the voters made the decisions.
Well, if they would do that to me, it's for sale.
Oh, no.
Mine's for sale then.
So we're ready to move to recycle?
With recycling.
One quick question.
Page 6, it's fund number.
One quick question.
Oh, back to-
On John left, the jail will be paid for in 27? Is that the last bond payment?
That sounds familiar.
So there you go. So that'll be another $400,000 a year we won't have to be spending out.
All that has to play together, you're absolutely correct.
Okay.
Recycling is what page, please?
We're done.
6.
Move to adjourn?
Close, I'm real close.
Because you can't take it back.
That's what he was saying.
I know.
And we just picked these
No
in
deal.
no particular order, page 6 of 79 in special funds. We just thought it would be good to look at the bigger funds and if you had questions, and you were to do your homework and if you had questions on any of the other funds, to bring them to our attention.
I think here, you know, you have and then of course, as I look at it, we have a very active program on the recycling topics, you know. We've got a very active committee that needs to look at the different topics that are out there. But, you know, this is a very large amount of money that's being generated, and just one, like I said, we were just trying to pick those that are very large, and just so you can see them as a whole, because I know that for some of you that are on that committee, so you know more about it than the others, but just let me look at it. So I think it's, we don't have any major issues, but as you get ready to go through the program, we're doing a joint program with Grand Rapids County and Benzie County. There may be some changes that come in the future, but once again, that's the process that everybody will be working through. So there may be, maybe not next year, but in 2026, there may be some things that we need to do.
What is their fund balance at?
That's a good question. I don't know if I got that answered.
Recycling, what is recycling's fund balance, John?
Pretty massive increase from 2023 to budgeted 2025, like 40%
What page did you say that was?
6 and
revenues
7.
anyway.
If I recall, I believe that this board approved the increase in recycling.
Yeah, but it's just $1
26
per
29
person,
or
and you said
something.
it only
We did.
generated like
It
60,000.
would be $16,000. There's 16,591 approved parcels according to Andrew.
So that doesn't explain for this.
No, it does not. But I believe going back, when I was treasurer in Suffolk Township, I think the recycle fee in late 2020 was 17, no, 20, 27, 28, or 29. Now it's 30.
30.
Okay, so I know there was a $1 increase recently.
Yes, still
Yeah.
is.
So what is the, we don't know?
Could be new improved properties, because it's an improved parcel that gets a recycle fee. And if building is taking off in the county yard, there's more improved parcels, more subdivisions, more, more entities. And if it's an improved parcel, from what I
What percentage is that?
understand, it has to be a toilet.
Massive, yeah.
Massive.
I don't think it has to be anything more than a barn with a toilet in it. And it's an improved parcel that will get a recycle assessment. And it's not in the
But that's
assessment,
still
it
just
should be
$30. I mean, it seems like so huge. How many parcels would that have to be
I
to?
think about when I was treasurer in Sutton Bay Township and I took over, I had 500 parcels when I took over that position. When I left, I had over 3,000
Wow.
in one township over 20 years. So parcels as they're improved, they can be assessed or the recycle fee attached to them.
What gets you the fund balance, you know, where they are?
John's got it.
Well, it says fund
Richard John's got it.
200,000 at the top.
284,000?
As of September 30th.
Okay, and this is a heavily contractualized budget.
284.
This is almost all contracts.
Totally.
So, very, very little in overhead because the only wages here are when the planning staff has to man a recycle site and they spend their time.
So and do we know nothing for mattress recycling for 25?
I think she's got that coming.
6, 7, and 8,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
great.
Oh,
We
yeah,
just
we're
brought
doing
that
I
information
think
on
it's
684.
8,000's on there, page 7.
Biggest increase is HHW.
I think she's collecting revenue
Household
on that
hazardous
right
waste.
now. Oh, yeah, 8,000, okay.
That's
Yep,
up,
good.
She sometimes gets that in a 2%
100%?
grant sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
And
one of those.
hazardous household waste is,
that's up 100% from
But
2023.
that's not in revenue, so that's in expenses. See, so, because that just goes right back out.
Hazardous waste,
Should be
right?
called
Household
revenue,
hazardous
so
waste.
there's expenses, right?
Is that, who do we contract that with? Household hazardous
Bay
waste?
Area?
park,
Bay Area recycling.
Bay Area recycle.
So I have memories of that going up, like, that's part of the reason they wanted the increased fees, because it was a massive increase in that. I mean, that's $100,000 nearly from 2023 to 2025. It's like 100% increase. That's more due to their contractual amount than people are just getting rid of a lot more household waste. Don't know.
I think it's a reflection of that.
It's actually driving the lion's share of the increase. One line item.
I'm happy to see that.
Well, I was here
Yeah.
on Saturday for the pickup in Elmwood Township, and there were a lot of people from Bay Area there.
Yeah.
And 2 people from
The office.
our county here.
And I think that was the last one of the year.
It is.
So we haven't gotten it really yet.
We're done, yeah.
And I think there's 4
So-
scheduled.
Yes.
What
Did
is
you
their,
show what you spent on that line item year to date right now? That you have a current?
Yeah, if you look on page 7, year to date now.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my books are updated as of July.
Okay.
I can send you the budgetary status on that, but
In the
Wait.
summertime, the recycling sites are jammed with vacationers,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, this is a different, this is
This is in the back.
household hazardous
Yeah.
waste. It's, your oils and paints and
Yeah.
things,
battery?
Chemicals sprayed over.
chemical spray, things like that.
We should have had
What is their
Gail.
capital outlay? Is that for cameras or what?
I think that the solid waste council has talked about surveillance, I believe.
There are cameras at several.
Several that aren't working, yes.
Oh, they're not.
At
There
Elmwood,
were, people stopped emptying their garages.
no, at Elmwood, the cameras came in real fine because one of the workers one day set his weed whip down to something else and some guy thought it was free. So they saw the camera, got the plate, called the guy up and brought it back. There's also a sign there that says if you drop something here, you will be cited for littering. I mean, before we had pianos, okay, dropped off and tires cut in half, so the cameras is a wonderful idea and I hope we stick with that.
With education.
Yeah, we need cameras.
That's all we have for you tonight, folks.
Woo-hoo.
Oh, can't we have some more?
So did you have questions?
Other questions from the staff, folks?
No, thank you.
Maybe if you get them tonight, just send them to us and we'll get back to you. Whatever you ask, we'll make sure everybody sees the same thing.
Yes, sir.
What we're trying to do is move forward, because Kathy's got a nice strict plan, I've got a small, long weekend plan. But I'd like to try to get everything in place so that we can provide you with a final at your executive session in November. And what we think is final, we still ask questions. But, you know, you do have a public hearing that takes place November.
Regular.
19th.
November.
November
So
19th.
It'd be better if we have what we think is going to be final at that time. So what we're gonna try and do is get all these items complete for you, get them back in front of you early enough before, I'd like to try and do this a number of days prior to the executive session. Don't just wait till that Thursday afternoon, it gets in your hands, so you can see it, have time to review it, update your reports. That way, when the public hearing does take place, at least you know what's we're discussing.
Richard, could we go back to recycling now? Are we gonna get some of those questions answered? Or can Gail come? I don't know.
I put down on my list that you'd like a budgetary status with year-to-date spending on all line items, but specifically hazardous waste.
And why that increase? Can't,
In
did we?
revenue,
Yeah.
well, revenue would be generated by, strictly the taxes collected for the PA 69 Act.
I don't think it was actually she was looking at.
Seems so huge to me.
Scrap tire cleanup, I know that you collect a small amount of money, that you have to pay. There was
Dollars.
also some revenue that was realized in '24, but that wasn't significant. But you're talking about,
The jump, right?
well, look at '23 audited, $426,000 is your entire PA 60, or sorry, your PA 16 recycle.
Okay.
And it went up
Thank
to
you.
452.
The big jump is
So if
right
you
there,
think,
fund balance.
you know, if, and I don't know what year it jumped from 29 to 30, but if $1
Last year.
is $16,000, so 426, 430 to 452 isn't that big of a stretch if it's
Okay.
$1 more.
Okay, so it's the fund balance though.
Fund balance is a big item.
Is what
Yeah.
through it. So it'd be nice to know, yeah.
I think we've answered that question, but I'll get you the budgetary status,
Okay.
so you know where she's at. Now, the one thing, when you get, are we meeting next Tuesday? That's on the schedule.
Well, we have,
Was it?
And we haven't seen like
we
that.
have budget rules to look at yet,
You
And-
do?
Mhm.
okay?
And we haven't seen like this all wrapped up.
Well, the budget rules, made the major change in your budget rules, back in May, but, yeah, we want you to look at those again. So we can do that,
I haven't seen.
we just want to be in effect prior to the budget year gets started, so we can do that after you adopt the budget, and you don't do it, so. I don't know if you have it in there. And, we'll send you an up-to-date copy of the rules that you adopted.
It's actually in your book now.
It's in the book. You can look at those rules, that you changed what was,
May.
in May. The only thing that we know of that we need to take a look at, and I'm marking off mine, is that, under rule number 18, the per diem, rates will be changed. We've got I think a paragraph after 19B, I think we have that paragraph in this twice, which we don't need.
What do you have?
Look at that.
Oh, no, I have to use that.
Peter,
Oh, 7,
what's the last that I had from you?
okay, that's interesting. I did put the
Yes.
right one in your book, though,
Yeah, because this paragraph, that was 17D, you're saying the same thing over here, so you just take it up there.
but the one in your book is correct.
Okay.
Okay.
See,
And it's.
I don't get all the corrections.
I just don't.
I don't need all the corrections.
I tell them, I'm right.
Maybe.
Under,
Sorry,
yeah,
why?
general information, your budget. So these were amended in May of '21, so they are different than what were adopted in
Yeah,
'24.
Yeah, these are your latest versions from 24 where we changed the, and I'm not recommending any changes as it relates to the purchases, the amounts, and like that. It's still too new for to make a major change. So we're recommending such as, $10,000, 20% bid, and things such as that. We just started that, so it's too soon to figure out what the checks are on that. That'll have to wait a year for the next commission to go through.
But on October 22, then you expect the board to give you clear direction on all of those priorities that we've been talking about.
Your
Right.
capital issues, unless you know what you're doing.
But we'll have we haven't seen like a grand
Updated.
total, after all that.
The thing is that November 1st was when you were gonna get the proposed budget in your hand with all of your work session recommendations on November 1st. Then you would have 12 days to look at it before your executive to recommend to adopt. That's also when the public gets to start getting it, is as of November 1st.
Seems like we need
Now, if
something
we
else.
meet next week, it's to put the fine tuning on it, to tell us what you want to put in this thing for that final shakeout. Final shakeout is November.
Right, but would we have, if we met by then, would we have prior to that a draft final shakeout to review?
I can try. I can tell you,
I'm just kind of concerned, like, if we get it,
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of seems.
get it the first, and we don't have any meetings between that and the executive, that no one's actually
No.
Seen it all.
seen it all, that we said, there's a lot of
We
yeses
gotta
in there,
have
that
a
there might have to be some no's, and,
Michelle's got it.
the capital budget, or the capital items that we've been reviewing with you, and we put into a spreadsheet that went landscape last meetings. We put all those in, except not making the tower a project. We won't put the tower in, because that would have to be a project.
But, once again, some of the big ticket items that we went through there, we should have to do them as everything that you had started 24 with. With your approval today, we'll be taking care of that. But all the other ones, is our recommendation that we leave them in. We have plenty of funds covered. It will have to be the next commission that will make those decisions. It's not a matter of if you're going to do it, it's just when you're going to do it. And so we leave them in there and keep that discussion going, knowing that this is what it's going to take.
What is he talking about?
I guess, maybe I'm confused, but the difference in leaving them in the SIP and actually budgeting them for next year, right? I mean, leaving in the SIP just says it's a thing out there that we're gonna do someday. That's,
But we're just,
Richard, I missed what you were talking about. I was looking for something in here.
I tell you what, we'll bring it back next week and go into more detail.
22nd.
I'd like,
What is it you will bring
Well,
back to us next week?
when
So I
we
can
start
study.
talking about the compressor, the air items, that, your compressor out here, that's a big ticket item, very big ticket item. And the way I heard it through all that discussion, said we need to be, when we put it in here, here's this, and this that we're leaving forward with. We're leaving it in here, like, if we don't get the 2%, we still think we should be done next year. Not often we're going to do that. We're going to start the engineering work to say, okay, what's it going to take, go out to bids, what's it going to take to bid this if we want to do that? All we're trying to do is leave all doors open. None of them have to be funded, as we shared, or you acknowledge that a lot of what you will adopt, the next board can change. Nothing's ever locked in final. Nothing's locked in stone. If it comes down that we ought to be moving forward, or the county feel like we ought to be moving forward, you can amend your budgets. So we want to go through that, because some of those big ticket items that I have a concern for on your all's behalf, that we know we've got to do the work. But we're not doing any more RFPs until the next board comes on board. They're the ones who are going to have to live in whatever it is. They'll have to make a decision.
So are you talking about the cooling tower?
Yep.
Okay, because
And
we
there's a
plan to
several of
do
those.
that, right?
Yeah.
We have to do that.
And sooner or later it's going to happen. I just don't know what later is. But the way you left it said, we probably need to start doing an RFP to hire an engineering firm that can help guide through that, including humidifiers. We said, let's put that on there, let them give it off to us, so there's a fair price of how you're gonna be able to do that. But let us get that spreadsheet back out for you and have it here for you next week, and we can talk about it. I think that's the biggest item here.
So all of that discussion about capital improvement, those SIP projects are not budget, won't affect the budget anyway.
No, because you don't budget for them until they become a project. Now, I do think though that since we are talking in this vein, the 24 approved that you've had a $500,000 contingency. We've dipped into that for a few things this
Right.
year. And I did think, okay, the dam walkway was kind of built into that, because we knew it was coming. And we did dip in for the motor pool, because we had a little issue there. We also dipped in for one other thing, and it's the masonry, the facade. So we've kind of depleted that. Now I'm thinking, you're pushing projects ahead into 25, as Richard's mentioned. You're not gonna budget for it, but I think we should build that contingency back up to 500,000. It's at 3 right now, the way it says right here. So I think we should put that back up to 500, because we know some of that is going to happen in 24, excuse me. So, and then the other thing is what will be baked in, or we will put in, is the increase for the mileage charges for departments. You saw the budget amendment last week to take care of 24. That hasn't been pushed into 25, so we're going to do that. And then the other issue is that this proposed budget that you have here only has one negotiated contract reflected. There are no other wage increases built into this. And right now, you have one additional body built into this, which is your facilities director.
Which you've already,
What about, shouldn't we put non-union wages in there? An increase for non-union wages, or wait until after negotiations, or you can do it retro?
That's up to you.
it's up to you.
I think we always wait,
I think you would wait.
right?
I can't tell you when it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean,
You wait
Well,
until after
non-union shouldn't have to wait forever.
You might set a precedent, so for,
Well,
No sort of discussion, okay?
yeah. I mean, we know
I'll put that on and wait.
we know it's gonna happen.
you got that
So
right.
if you can't make believe that you're not gonna spend the money on it,
Richard, I heard you, and I understand what you're suggesting on the capital improvement projects, but this board has spent lots and lots of meetings setting priorities there. And it makes me a little nervous saying they're all priorities now that we're gonna send them on to the next board.
well, I was kinda confused
And
on that.
I think we ought to try to pare some of those down.
I would be more than happy to put that up there, but, you know, you've been told that you got a problem, get ready to happen out here.
Right. And I think everybody said they want to do that. But we had lots of more projects on there, and if all of them are important, none of them are.
Okay. Then we'll have that back on there, we'll put the capital.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's
Good luck.
Yeah, I thought
We're-
we were
we're-
gonna be moving on some of those.
some, but I think the question is some, I mean, not all, they all have to be done, but the timing
But we
issue is
can't,
where
we can't do them all.
Yeah, so which ones do we
But we
think are?
need to, yeah, we need to make some progress
Yeah.
on that.
Yep.
We know we need that cooling tower. That's what we're here for.
Okay, we got the vehicle charges. And we have put the final version of the,
So you will meet next, the 22nd, right?
We'll also put the budget rules on there that you can review one more time, to give us your feedback on that and choose.
And the budget rules are especially important to my department, because that is what we use as our guideline when we get invoices in. My staff will be looking at this and I'll say, okay, where does this fall? You know, and this is how we operate. So these are very important to my department for sure, because they're your rules that apply to what we do.
that's right.
Okay, so here's my list. The discussion about non-union wages, capital issues or topics, vehicle charges, budget rules, senior services director salary. Yes, That's on the non-union schedule. Okay, well, okay, we'll back that part of that. That was just. I know I've missed something. I've always missed something, so that's what Kathy's here for. All right, is that good? Okay, work at it. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we ready to move on to public comment? Public comment? Bill?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know you need lots of room. You know, I know.
This just came from the grand, from the court, meeting and the financial implications of the court reorganization next week. Good.
Bill, we should have a township, you have a problem with organization, but there's a whole lot bigger problem with the elections, and that's what I'm here to talk about. This handout that I just gave out, the first page is from yesterday's show, on the Joe Hoff show. The second page is on Conservative Daily, Daily, and I've got the links on this, and this is going to be added to my 20-page handout, and to show why we should be very concerned about our elections. So the first page, I'll just read what's in the highlighting. This guy, Harry Hawley, he's an expert on elections. He's got a lot of experience. If you listen to this show, you'll see all the experience the guy has. But I just took 1 minute, and he quotes from the Supreme Court case Classic in 1941, and this one in 1988 is called Coy v. somebody else, anyway. But this is what the quote is. Just read in the highlighted on page 1. Remember, Coy, this Coy Supreme Court case of the United States. Coy says failure to attend to the law makes you guilty of intent because you are responsible for attending to the law or following the law. So published guidelines. No. So an election fraud. It's just a transcription. There's a few errors here. These are millions of cases of election fraud, provably, under the DOJ own published guidelines. We're not inventing a legal theory here. We're not having to go out on a limb. If you read, you know, the DOJ guidance material in the prosecution of election offenses. It spells out what the crime of election fraud is, what it means, and it also defines that these people are committing it at scale. So what we've measured are millions and millions of election frauds, and it's on this handout, and 10 million voters with ineligible registrations, 2 million more votes counted than voters who voted, that sort of thing. That's on this handout that I handed out. So it doesn't matter if you don't do it intentionally. If it happens, you're guilty of fraud. That puts a lot of responsibility on the clerks and the commissioners who pass on this stuff. And so it's very important. And the second page is absolute proof of election fraud. It's Ed Solomon. This is on today's. I just picked it up this morning. I was driving to town. Oh, I'll listen to that. And you see the two graphs there? This is for Colorado. Every county in Colorado except one has a graph on the left. It's voting for increasing taxes. And the Republicans are saying, no, we don't want to increase taxes, more on the top. And the bottom one is the Democrats saying
I
yes.
think that's it, Bill. Thank you. Thank you. We're out of
20
time.
minutes?
Yeah. Goes fast, doesn't it?
It's supposed to be 5 minutes.
5 now.
Oh,
Give me an extra 20 seconds. Thank you.
sorry.
Sorry.
about that.
That's easy to do.
Go for it, Bill.
But, so the average is the line in the middle. That's every county in Colorado except that one shows that pattern. But Arapahoe, which has a deeper significance, the clerk there, who's been saying there's no fraud forever, he was the one that set up the system for this. And the Republicans and Democrats aligned on every step of the process. And they had Dominion voting machines. This is happening in Arapahoe, and the odds of this, Edward Solomon is an expert on this stuff. He says it's like one atom out of what, that this could ever happen. So if that can happen in Colorado, that can happen here. And still, I think our clerks, legitimately, I haven't talked directly, but the questions were on election source. Do they have a back door? The clerk was going to speak to that problem. On the cast vote record, she was going to speak to election source also. How does that happen? It's not normal, this kind of pattern. In counties all over the country, 80% of the counties show this pattern. It's upside down, but where it's heavy Democrat at the beginning, and then it goes to the speed control set point. So, just 15 seconds to close. Please look at my 20-page handout. This is going to be added. There's absolute proof of fraud. And those who certify this election, according to that one court case, it doesn't matter if you don't intend it to be fraud. If there's fraud there, you should be catching it. And we can't catch it with these black box machines. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Sorry for interrupting you there.
Oh, no problem.
Any other public comment?
Different for this meeting.
Anybody recognize somebody in the back of the room? He looks different, doesn't he? And his
Aren't you?
No, I've seen him in that outfit.
Any,
Sorry, sir, if you want to come forward for public comment, please do so.
State your name.
State your name, yep.
the commissioner comment. Any commissioner comment?
None.
We did get a message while we were meeting from the district court, and they want to meet next week or early the following week on the financial implications of the Antrim County thing. So Richard is seeing if they might tag team us with a meeting next week, although that wasn't one of the dates they gave us.
No, it's probably all about when the judges are available.
Yeah, they want us to go.
One other thing that, for next Tuesday when we go through this, you have, I think I know where you're going to go with this, but there's also the pay request, and you need to give us direction of what you think or don't think, so we'll just do that next week also.
I can give you direction right
Any
now.
other commissioner comment?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
So I guess my question is, are you wrapping that up?